Welcome everyone. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. It's so nice to join you the day after. I'm actually filming this a couple days before and I am coming to you from my bedroom. I have a house full of family and I have to escape to my bedroom, so you are still getting to see my Christmas tree, and it is still up when this video comes out. What I want to talk about today is something that I had shared a few days ago on Instagram stories. I was sharing a little bit on tips and advice for budgeting, and I was talking about my 13-year-old who was opening up her first high school bank account where she would have her own debit card. If you would like me to talk more about what we have done with our 5 children as far as teaching them budgeting skills as they were growing up, please let me know in the comment section of this video and we can definitely do that. What I want to talk about today is another topic that I had shared on Instagram stories, where I was encouraging parents or individuals, whoever, to start planning your Christmas 2019 budget. And for me, today is the day after Christmas. It starts today. I'm going to share with you how we do it, and I am going to try to give you some tools and tips so you can implement something for you. When I share these principles, I don't encourage you to do exactly what we do in our home. I encourage you to do what is going to work in your home, but what I share, you might pick up a little nugget and you might find how it will serve you. So today I'm just going to share what we do and I hope you find it helpful. I do have a budgeting series out there. I believe there are 3 videos in that, and you can get to all of those in the drop-down box of this video as well as on the blog post. I share in those budgeting videos how we implement an envelope system in our home. I would like to call it the modified Dave Ramsey envelope system. Many of you have probably heard of Dave Ramsey, and I highly recommend you pick up his book if you are looking to have a total money makeover. That is what we did many years ago, and it was one of the best decisions that we've ever made. We still implement a lot of Dave's tips, but we've modified and tweaked it to work for us. Some of our adult children also implement Dave Ramsey's total money makeover system, but they have tweaked it to work for them. So they don't even do it exactly how mom and dad do it. And when my husband and I do coaching on budgeting, or I do individual coaching on budgeting, that is really what I do, is I look at your situation, your income, your past history, what are your shopping traits and characteristics, what are we working with, and then we devise something that will complement you and that will serve you. So it's very much tailored to a person specifically, and really in life coaching, everything that I do is specifically for the person that I am working with. What I want to talk about today is creating an envelope or an account, whatever it is that serves you, to help you plan and prepare starting today for your Christmas 2019. Many people rely on plastic to get them through the holidays. Many people are also highly stressed during the holidays for many reasons. It is a stressful and busy time, but a lot of it too is there is that financial burden that comes with it, and we have a lot of weight on our shoulders. We want to provide all these wonderful things for our children. There's so much competition these days on what each child is getting. So many kids now are getting such amazing but very expensive tech things, and parents are spending hundreds of dollars on their children. Let me share with you that if you start to do that when they're young, they're going to expect it when they're older. My advice to you would be to be careful with that, because you are planting a seed that now is going to be an expectation that is going to come from your children. What my husband and I did this year is we discussed our budgeting for 2018. Now we'll be going into 2019, but we discussed where can we make some changes as our family is getting bigger and growing, and we will have more expenses because of that. When we purchase gifts, we are purchasing for more people now. We had decided upon the age of 25 when we feel like our kids are pretty self-sufficient as far as income. They've got their head wrapped around their bills and they're doing pretty well. They're done with college. They may be paying off a little bit of debt here or there, but our kids have really been taught taught good skills ever since they were very little. So by the time they're the age of 25, they are pretty financially secure for that age. We decided to step back a little bit at the age of 25. So we backed off on birthdays and we backed off on Christmas, but not on the other kids. And that is how we chose to do it. Some people never back off. Some people back off all at once. We didn't really feel that it was fair to back off from our 18-year-old and our 13-year-old when their sisters all got these nice gifts. So we just chose an age, we communicated to our children, and that's the key. It's communication. And that way the expectations match the follow through. If you talk to your children and they know that mom and dad are backing off at 25, so that child is going to get less gifts than their siblings, they expect it, and it's not a big deal. We shouldn't be slaves to having to buy these lavish gifts for our children forever. But on to how do you plan and prepare for 2019? What I would advise you to do is sit down with your spouse and map out how many paychecks come in 1 year. Let's say your husband gets paid twice a month and you get paid 4 times a month. Therefore, there's 6 paychecks coming in a month. And if this seems confusing, I highly recommend you go to my budgeting series because I teach how to do this and I actually walk you through the computer of how it's done. So this is going to be the shortened version. But you would take your 6 paychecks and you would pull money from each of those paychecks to either go into your envelope for Christmas 2019, or you would set up some type of fund where you are doing an allocation to put that money in. The next month, you would do the same thing. Now, let's say your husband has a larger income than you. He may pull more, or you together may pull more from his paychecks than you do your paychecks. So what you're going to do is you're going to have this open dialogue together. You're going to get the lines of communication going and you're going to work together as a team, because the whole goal is that you don't want to rely on plastic. And let me tell you, when the time comes for you to get that envelope out and start your shopping or go withdraw that money from your financial institution, it feels so good to already have that money. I'm going to use my husband and I as an example. Tailor this to you. Often when I use my husband and I as an example, people sometimes have a hard time relating that to them. You have to think it through. And again, the budgeting videos will do a lot for you. If you want more assistance, then book a session with me. That would be the best thing. But I will use my husband and I's situation as an example. Now, my husband and I do have 3 incomes coming in, but when it comes to the Christmas budget and saving for Christmas, we try to work out of one of those incomes. It's the prominent or the primary income. This isn't the side hustle incomes, like my income and then my husband's side hustle income. This is the big shipping. This is what we work out of to run our household, pay our bills, and all of that. My husband gets paid 2 times a month, so he doesn't get paid every 2 weeks. He gets paid bi-monthly. He gets paid on the 1st and the 15th of the month. We are dealing with 24 paychecks a year, but I don't want to work off of 24 paychecks to fill my envelope because I'm not doing my shopping generally after that 24th paycheck comes through, which would be December 15th. I like to have all of the shopping money in the envelope by November 15th. Now I'm dealing with 2 less paychecks. So again, let's go back to your situation. Maybe you get paid once a week, which is 4 paychecks. Your husband gets paid every other week. That could be 2 paychecks. You're dealing with 6 paychecks. We're dealing with 2. You have to calculate that according to how many months before you want to get into your envelope and start your shopping. So for my husband and I, 2 paychecks a month, but I want the envelope by November 15th to do my shopping. I'm dealing with 22 paychecks. That means out of those 22 paychecks, I'm filling this envelope. You don't have to do an envelope. You can do it another account. But if you are somebody that tends to rob Peter to pay Paul and you're going to be tapping in, I don't suggest you do it. And I know from history and working with clients, they tend to tap into those accounts. There's something about having the cash in the envelope And we'll talk about once we get to this envelope, which for me is November 15th, and how it works then. What I suggest you do, sit down today or sometime this week before the new year with your spouse, potentially if he helped you with the shopping, if you were so lucky. If you don't know what you spent on Christmas, try to wrap your head around it a little bit and get a good idea. Often people don't know what they spent because they're just spending with no rhyme or reason. Well, we work off of a budget. So we have a budget for every single person we shop for. Our kids, parents if we purchase for them, any name drawings that we do throughout the family. If I buy for my mail lady, if I buy for my UPS driver, I allocate for teachers or service people. Everybody has a certain amount that we spend on them. So I always know what it is that I need to save out of those 22 paychecks. Again, if you don't know, try to come up with it. Make a list of everybody that you believe you purchased a gift for this year and try to recall what it is that you spent. You're going to add that up and that's going to give you one big and hefty number. And yeah, that's probably what ended up on your credit card this year. For most people, it does. And it's an astronomical amount. I certainly don't think it's necessary, so I hope that maybe next year you can scale back. But now we have our number. For instance, my husband and I have our entire number of what we spend on Christmas gifts. So we already know what we're looking at for Christmas 2019. But again, I want the money on November 15th. We have 22 paychecks to work with. We take that number and we divide it by 22, and that will give us the amount that we have to pull out of every single paycheck. And then that's what we do. We pull it out and we put it in this envelope. You don't have to put it in an envelope. You can put it in an account. And I certainly could, and we would never touch that money. But the envelope system is something we have become so accustomed to, and we do it for so many things. And if you want to find out what those things are, go to my budgeting video. That works for us. Now, the envelope starts to get pretty thick. So a couple times a year, I will take the money in and I will exchange it for all larger bills because that will make it easier. Now, the big question comes in, okay, well, what do you do come November 15th? Well, if you're like me and you are a huge online shopper, which I am, I pretty much do all my shopping online, there's a couple different things you can do. One is you could take your whole entire envelope and go deposit it into your debit account and you can start doing your shopping. But guess what's going to happen? You're probably going to spend more on each person than what you intended to. And you're also going to end up spending that money on putting gas in the tank, stopping at the grocery store, going through Starbucks. And next thing you know, you're tapping in to the Christmas fund, the Christmas budget, when really it's not going towards the gifts. So to be honest with you, and from my history with working with people, I don't suggest you do that. What I do, and it has worked magic and wonderful for me, but it won't work for everybody because if you don't have a surplus in your account to work from, then you would have to put the money in before you do the purchases. I keep a good chunk of money in my account. And what I do is I do a lot of the shopping, so does my husband. I use my personal business account if I am going to do any shopping and I use my debit card. And then I pay myself back whatever I spent out of this envelope. So now I'm working kind of out of my own business account. It's easier for me to track it that way. My husband will work out of his business account. Both of us don't touch our little side hustle accounts very often. So the money is always there. So we will do our purchases and we will pay ourselves back. Now I know many people will think, that's just an extra step. It is, but if the extra step keeps you from using the plastic or using the resources for what they're not intended to be used for, where's the questioning would be my question to you. And again, you have to do what works for you. Now I also, in my budgeting videos, will once in a while get somebody say, well, why put money in an envelope? You can't make money on your money if it's an envelope. This isn't investing. And what I always want to say to those people is, are you kidding me? You've got money in a savings account to make money? You're not making money off your savings account. You're making money off your investments. That's a whole new thing. Our Chase bank account, where our debit cards are not going to make us any money. The money that we're making money on is all investing, and that would be a whole new series, or that would be a session that you could do with myself or my husband and I. As it gets closer to Christmas, if you want to start creating an envelope for each person, you could do that. I have done that in the past, and I've done it for many years. This year I didn't, because I really have got such an organized system, and I don't really need to create all these envelopes for individual people, but you could. That would be a great thing to do. So if you have 3 children, you create an envelope for each child. Let's say you spend $150 on each of your 3 children. You would put $150 into each one once you get closer, or once you get to your deadline date where you want your envelope filled, which for me, again, is November 15th. If you don't want to do that, then you create a list and you write next to each person's name what the allocated amount is going to be. And when you add that up, it should total what's in the envelope, and that's where you go from there. What this really does is it just helps to keep you from, again, using the credit card as a last resort. It prevents that stress, and I tell you, it makes a world of a difference. Now, my husband and I do this for vacations. We do this for everything. We do it for all of our secondary bills and all of our monthly little things like birthdays and stuff like that. And if you want to see all of what I'm talking about there, it's all in my budgeting videos. Link to those down below. So there you go. That would be my tip for you to start today. So when does your next paycheck come, and what exactly are you pulling out of that paycheck? Again, you've got to tweak this to you, because everybody is working with a different number of paychecks per year, and everybody has a deadline date different. Some people don't start their shopping until after December 15th. Well, then you might be working with 24 or whatever your number is. You have to work it out with your spouse depending on what the income is. Again, if he's got a higher income and he's bringing home more, he might be putting more in this envelope. Let's just say there are 6 paychecks coming in and your husband's income is bigger, so he's going to contribute more. Let's say you want $120 a month between you and your husband's income to go in this envelope. And then let's say he has 2 checks per month and you have 4. His 2 checks could very well contribute more to this envelope than your 4 checks. So I hope that makes sense. Again, figure out a system with you, get that dialogue going, and get on board. Get ready for next Christmas. I mean, what better time to do this than right now? Again, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. I'm wishing you a Happy New Year, and we will see you in the new year. Let me know. Any comments, suggestions? What do you do? We are always open to learn from one another, so please share in the commenting section any tips you have. Also, let me know what other videos you'd like to see that have to do with budgeting. Maybe talking about the kids and what we've done, maybe investing. You let me know. Lots of great content to come in 2019. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.